We're in too deep. You gotta pull yourself out, OP. Let's just do anything else. Let's go sit in the park and feed the pigeons, you know? Isn't that nice?
Give us all your bread, Uh-oh.
Hello friends, trace amounts of science. Today we're scrolling through r/NeckbeardStories. I don't come here very often. Usually it's from my personal subreddit r/ReddX reads, but sometimes there's like some good one-off tales and stuff like that. I don't want to get involved in any series from here, but one-offs could be nice. So let's kick back, enjoy some of those today. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go ahead and get on into this thing. Gaslighting in the Gameshop. I think that's just the methane fumes messing with your brain cells. Welcome in Snooze Panda 9894. And so, as we dig into my beard-laden past, one of the biggest beards was in my life attached to me in my early 20s. Oh, is there like other stories and stuff that you've done? We might have to dig through that. I, 36 female now, was a weird one growing up. Yeah, most of us were. I'd been playing D&D and computer games with my father since before my teens. During the time I commingled with the beard, Joe, male in like his 40s or 50s. I was living in a northwestern state and managed to find a game shop literally blocks away from my apartment. Here, I started walking over to play in the assorted night events like Adventure Leave or Board Game Nights, MTG Fridays, and the rare D&D game. It was a lot of fun, but the craving began to gnaw at me. I wanted a campaign that I could sink my teeth into and grow/develop a character. I don't know if it's worth it, man. Just write down on the sheet my paladin's level 20. I won. Okay, I get to skip all the stuff in between. Enter Joe. I had, of course, seen him in the shop during assorted events. He was very hard to miss. Corpulent and, notably aromatic.
Stings the nostrils.
He seemed like a really nice guy with unfortunate physical attributes. The beard itself was thick and untamed, and he always dressed in slop pants or shorts or some sort of food-stained t-shirt that had holes and, of course, that signature musty odor. His personality was jovial, and he acted like a kind and generous person, and he took me in when it came to Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure he did. I'm a little bit suspect that they said he acted as a kind and generous person. Like, I'm glad he's jovial, you know, that helps out a lot. But if it's just a mask, then it doesn't matter that much. In the beginning, things were great. I would walk down to the card store with my decks. I had 3 that I was playing around with at the time. For those with interest, one was a blue-green counter, the other was a black-white angels, and the third was a green-white population deck. He would spend hours with me, going over the decks and tweaking my cards, teaching me how to get a realistic count of land versus cards, and y'all know that struggle can be real. That's true, I'm starved for land! That's why I only play like a single color. I'm like, okay, I'm red, I'm black. Not red, black, just red or black. Unless you're going like white, blue. That's a pretty good mixed deck. Green, white sounds pretty cool too. I digress. We're not talking about Magic the Gathering today. As of this time, Joe acted as more of a mentor than anything, and to me, things were awesome. I have almost no social acuity, so this was fantastic. It was the first time that I had a social life in a couple of years, and I wish I had just left things there, enjoying the separation from Joe and the game shop just being there for me to visit, but I fluffed up. I accepted the invitation to go to his house for more in-depth MTG lessons/trades and to help start a 2nd edition D&D game. This is all just window dressing to get you over to his house, isn't it? Unfortunately, OP, lacking the social acuity to see it for what it is. These are hard lessons we have to learn. I do hate it. I want to say, like, where are your parents? But I think OP's sort of a grown-up at this point. She did say my apartment, so it's just one of those young adult things that, sort of kicks you in the teeth, but you probably survive and learn from it. I don't like where this is going. Please tell me this doesn't get too dark. Nobody's telling me anything, it's fine. Suddenly, I went from meeting Joe at defined intervals to being at his home for what seemed like every day. He had 2 daughters from 2 different relationships, and suddenly I was meeting them and their moms when the girls would be brought by for his visitation time. And we began D&D, and I started with a fun character named Widget Berry Slicer, the gnomish rogue. I learned very quickly that Joe was used to playing Iron Man, and he was a very punitive GM. And my character was basically killed by the second session because of a few rolls and, well, a lot of GM decisions. Okay, cool. I think that means it's over now. I think I'm gonna go home. Unless you enjoy a hardcore campaign. I sorta do. I wasn't all that attached to Widget Berry Slicer the gnomish rogue anyways. So OP rolls up a healer next. Meets Clary Sage, the druid. She did not get ended in the second game. Phew! So now we have this weekly D&D game in addition to MTG Friday and pre-release events, etc. My whole social life started to orbit around the Gameshop and by extension, Joe. Not a great look. We're in too deep. You gotta pull yourself out, OP. Let's just do anything else. Let's go sit in the park and feed the pigeons, you know? Isn't that nice?
Give us all your bread, Uh-oh.
Anyway, things were going really well, and we began to explore the D&D world. Soon, Joe decided that he would start cooking dinner for D&D, and the players just needed to put in $5 to eat, which was a great deal at first. Slowly, Joe began to ask me to pick stuff up on the way to his house to cook for dinner. Keep in mind, I still had to pay the $5 to eat it after purchasing the ingredients. Okay, shitty, but No, what is supposed to mean? I paid my $5. These groceries are my $5. I either eat for free or I take all this stuff home with me. That's how it's gonna be. But again, young adulthood, your spine is sort of wiffle waffle. All part of learning to stand up for yourself, I suppose. Anyway, fast forward to about month 4. God, how'd you last that long? I am now usually picking up ingredients on the way to his house, and he has me doing the cooking now. And loading up the car. Wow, what a tangled web we weave. We would carpool to the game shop, and I'm not gonna lie, those trips were rough. The car was always dirty with food wrappers, and his personal body odor was just so very thick. Once at the shop, I would be the one to unload the car and set him up throne style at the table because that's what he had me trained to do. I'm not sure that trained is actually the best word, says OP, and I would agree, it's a little sus, to say the least. I'd give Joe the $5 to eat, then I'd set up the food that I had purchased and cooked, and we would play, and then we'd go back to his house, about a 30-minute drive, and I'd unload the car before I drove back home, passing the game shop to get there, and some nights, he would have me stay the night. Well, you are just a ship tossed about by the ocean, right? Any way the wind blows, you don't want to offer any sort of resistance. Like, it happens a lot, but it's always insanely frustrating to witness. You know that? I'm not trying to blame you for any of these events. I'm just frustrated that the spine hasn't grown in quite yet. OP says Joe had some pretty severe health issues that I won't go into because they're not mine to share. Oh yeah, that's carte blanche to be an asshole. You have health issues. I'll cook you dinner and give you $5 to cook you dinner and drive you everywhere. Fuck that. I kick him down the stairs. He knows exactly what he's doing. It's not good. OP says Joe would have me assist him with medical stuff that he had difficulty with. Would you put in his catheter? It was unpleasant because of the odor and having to touch things. By this point, I'd conned myself into feeling that this was just normal, and he eased into taking more liberties with my person. Yeah, I saw this coming. I fucking hate it, you know? Things were being pushed in a very NSFW direction. I was very impressionable and in deep dislike of myself with major depressive disorder, which was diagnosed. For all intents and purposes, I was becoming a waifu. Yeah, I can't believe you didn't see this one coming down the pipe once you started cooking for him and all this shit. And you're still giving him the $5. Oh, man. He's definitely got a dastardly system in place, and unfortunately, it does seem to be effective, at least on those who are too naive to see what's actually going on. Anyway, a few more months pass, and with meds, I'm finally starting to realize that this was actually not okay. It took me a lot of time to work up the tiny bit of backbone that I could muster and let him know that I was starting to feel taken advantage of. Hey, yeah, flip it. I love to see this. This is going to be a happy ending, isn't it? Oh, thank God. Not only was I purchasing everything and doing the cooking and then paying him for the privilege of eating it, he informed me that it wasn't his fault about that. OP, you started taking over the cooking, so I just left it alone. He said that he had to charge me so that the others in the group would find it to be fair. Yeah, as if they wouldn't understand she cooked, she doesn't have to pay. I was also told that I was being high-strung and dramatic. I backed down. He must be right. He was older and wiser, and he had been so kind in offering his help on anything gaming related, so I backed down and apologized for being rude, and we maintained the status quo. Damn, he flipped that one right around on you. Heartbreak. I thought that was escape velocity, but apparently not. We gotta go round in orbit a few more times. Okay. OP says, I stayed in this situationship for almost another year. I did manage to ease away from the adult material, but I was still cooking and paying, making card trades for MTG, watching the kids when they were over, etc. I finally escaped the neckbeard nest in 2012 and have grown a little bit emotionally. Yeah, suffering will do that. Like, it sucks in the moment, but you always do learn something from it. I'm still socially oblivious, but my now girlfriend, 36 female, helps me navigate those waves. I moved away and started fresh, still trying to nurture and grow a backbone, but so far haven't had much luck. Maybe I have a black thumb. Yeah, something like that. That's frostbite, don't you know?
Oh, God, you wouldn't belong getting frostbite.
Also, OP's girlfriend's name is Wolfie, but I'm not going to throw that in there because I'm going to have to make some comments about it. I don't want to be mean, so I'll just say that the beard is not as clean-shaven as one would hope. But it's a process, you know? Anyway, TLDR, socially inept 20-something-year-old woman discovers a game shop and is chosen by a neckbeard. Gets groomed and conditioned to support him and gets gaslit constantly to become a gamer girl waifu. Moves across the country to escape. Neckbeards firmly push her into a girl-on-girl relationship that has and will continue to be nurturing and supportive. Yeah. Given all we know about Wolfie, which is basically just her name, I totally do believe it. Apologies, the usual. I'm not sorry about the length, but I am sorry if the formatting's wonky. Happy to share some specifics, but this is my very first Neckbeard post, and I was not quite sure where to elaborate or condense. Have the day you deserve, everyone, and thank you for reading. ETA clarifying ages. Yeah, I was a little confused about the ages, but we got through the story okay. You know, I figured it out. I'm not as dumb as I look. Neither is Joe, apparently. He has a plan for ensnaring Gameshop girls, and, I mean, he's got 2 kids, so apparently OP could have been lucky number 3, or unlucky number 3, I guess would be more accurate. I'm grateful that she got up and out. Unfortunately, it looks like that is the only story that's been written by her thusly. We'll keep eyes out in the future if something pops up, but overall, yes, I'm glad that it turned out, you know, not as terribly as I expected at certain points. Still pretty terrible, but it could have been worse, I guess. We'll continue on into our next story, so join me over there, won't you? This story is called My First Ever Neckbeard Experience. Oh, what a treat. We all remember our first times, don't we? Hi, everyone. Hi, Kawaii Des Yo 111111111. I think I put too many ones. When I was younger, I used to frequent this subreddit and laugh at all the insane stories, never thinking I'd have any of my own. This past year has proven me wrong. For some context, I'm a 17-year-old trans girl and currently a junior in high school. For simplicity's sake, I'll call the neckbeard Stitch, due to his obsession with the character Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Nobody watched that, did they? Like Disney's last actually animated movie before 3D animation took everything over. Although I guess the moral of the movie's pretty good, you know. Ohana means family and that.
Ohana means
Family.
My first encounter with Stitch should have given me enough red flags to avoid him, but it didn't. At our school's assembly regarding CPR in freshman year, I happened to sit next to him, and the first thing he said to me was, "Hey, are you gay?" I was super put off for obvious reasons, because who the hell starts a conversation like that? I mean, I don't know. 2016 Tumblerinas, I guess? I told him I was actually trans, and he asked me, why? That's not really an easy question to answer to someone that you literally don't know. We proceeded to have a slow and kind of awkward conversation, and the only reason I even really engaged with him was because I had just gotten unfriended by my ex-best friend and I was extremely lonely. I seriously would have befriended anyone, and Stitch came to me at the perfect time. Well, technically, you came to him if you're sitting next to... You know what? Never mind. It's fine. To paint a picture of this guy, I was genuinely shocked that he was in the same grade as me. Full neckbeard, galaxy and anime-themed hoodies, quite a bit taller than me. I'm 5'11", and overweight. And he wore blankets over his backpack like a cape.
Buddy, you think you look strong? You're wearing a cape.
That's my favorite part. Overall, he fit the typical neckbeard / super senior archetype perfectly, except that he didn't smell bad. Not even the blanket, that ratty old blanket draped over his backpack everywhere he goes. Come on, it's gotta smell kinda bad. Although, don't put your nose directly in it, because, you know, you might die. Regrettably, he asked for my number after we chatted for a bit, and I gave it to him. Hanging around him felt very uncomfortable and surreal, and I began to realize that I had next to nothing in common with him. So you probably should have just said no to giving him the number. But again, noodle spine, you know, this is young adulthood, I guess. One time, this group of guys walked by us in the halls and began picking on him, so he yelled something at them in Russian, ? And ran off. He was into typical neckbeard stuff like gaming and anime, and repeatedly told me about his dream career, which was to be a Twitch streamer. One time he got 10 viewers in a stream, and he bragged about that to me. Honestly, good for him. People never believe in, like, the stream dream or, like, I want to be a YouTuber until you sit down and put the fucking work in, start making it happen for yourself, and then everybody turns around and goes, oh, that's so wonderful, I believed in you the whole time. Yeah, did you? I don't think so. I understand what it's like to stream to 0 viewers, to sit there and talk to yourself for 3 or 4 hours. It's depressing. So when you get 10 people that actually want to engage, like, that's amazing. I don't know why we don't like this neckbeard, but I guess that will become more clear with time. He also one time made this weird half joke about having the nuclear codes and showed me something on his phone that I still don't really understand. Yeah, he's just a weird guy. I guess that counts for Neckbeard Stories, though. Overall, I thought he was really strange and off-putting, but not necessarily a bad person. Same vibe I get, yeah. He told me he got diagnosed with bipolar, and I honestly thought he was just misunderstood. But then, as sophomore year went on, I learned more and more about him, and that made him out to be more, creepy and somewhat predatory. Every time he saw me in the halls, without fail, he would hug me. I'd never hug him back, and it always made me very uncomfortable, but I didn't really know what to say. Okay, OP, say it with me now. We're just gonna try this one out. No. Get the fuck away from me. No. Now you say it. Or maybe the truth is you knew what to say the entire time, you were just scared to say it. And that's okay too. But let's, be more honest with each other, shall we? He would also say little things to me that felt kind of belittling and creepy. Like one time when he offered to pay for my coffee, and I denied him, and he told me to stop being difficult. That doesn't sound that bad, but in the tone of voice which he said it, it felt so creepy. Like how a 50s husband would talk to his wife. That's right, we're gonna go down to the malt shop and get a phosphorus, dame, or I'll give you 5 across the eyes. Bully! Yeah, that's probably not the voice, actually. I'd say that about now is the time to make a swift escape, but yeah, you go to the same school, so it's hard. OP says another thing is that all the people he hung out with were either creepy, gross, prejudiced, or all of the above. Yeah, birds of a feather. Me and my current friends avoid this group of people like the plague, as does everyone else. Stitch was no exception, thinking saying the N-word in the school group chat was peak dark humor. And yes, for clarity, he is very white. And I'm gonna presume that the entire school is very white, considering that he had the nuts to drop that one in the school group chat, no less. Goodness. The final straw in regards to having any sort of contact with him was when I found out that he made an insanely creepy maltreatment assault sort of joke to one of my friends. I was never told what the joke was exactly, but I don't tolerate crap like that. I already didn't like him at this point, but now I had finally blocked his number. I had blocked him once already, the summer after freshman year, but I think he got a new phone and I just didn't notice. That day at lunch, he came up to me and asked why I had blocked him, and I didn't say anything. Thankfully, my saint of a friend who I was sitting with told him, "Dude, she doesn't want to hang out with you anymore. Leave her the fuck alone." And just like that, he walked away and we haven't talked since. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? This year, I've learned some new information about him from some of his ex-friends. He's currently dating a girl who I will call Lilo for continuity's sake. Lilo is severely autistic and is developmentally behind most people her age. In layman's terms, she acts very childlike and naive. This makes me fear that Stitch is taking advantage of her, which I wouldn't put past him based on the weird crap he's done and how one of his friends has actually assaulted multiple people. I find the situation incredibly creepy, but I don't know Lilo personally, so I can't step in. I've also learned that he's made some untoward jokes to a multitude of other girls, and yeah, not really surprised by that. I hope that you guys enjoyed the story of the first ever neckbeard that I'd met. I'm fascinated by people like him, and I'm grateful that I never turned out to be like him, even though I very well could have. I'm from a conservative Floridian town, and I grew up in the feminist wrecked era of YouTube. I saw him at the mall today with my friends, and he made eye contact with me, and I was honestly terrified, not gonna lie. All I can hope for is that he and Lilo break up, and he seriously fixes his issues. I mean, yeah, he's got a lot to sort through. He's relatively young, though, you know? I maintain hope that he'll get it all figured out at some point, maybe. Like, yeah, sort of stalkerish, yeah, says naughty words, but he also respected a no when he got it, and, I am sort of concerned for the girl that he's dating, but I'm like a third-party observer. I can't really say whether he's doing something terrible if they really do like each other, so I don't know. He doesn't seem like that terrible of a neckbeard. OP's sort of using the transitive property at the end there and like, oh, well, his friend SA'd some people, so, you know. I do agree with birds of a feather, but that seems like a bridge too far. Like I said, it seems like he can take no for an answer. But to me, it's just a bunch of weird high school things. We see this relatively often. Like, you sat next to him, he engaged with you, you got to know his friend group didn't like him. Okay, we all move on, you know? It doesn't need to be a whole thing. You saw him at the mall and you made eye contact? Gasp! Well, he didn't try to engage with you, so yeah, I think he's okay. Going through some edgy teenage boy bullshit, but I've been there before too, so I will extend to him this bit of grace, and to you, OP, as well, for, you know, perhaps being slightly overdramatic about the entire thing. But without that, we wouldn't have a story, right? It's important that we have a story. I hope that you guys will like the video or share it around. That would be cool. You can sign up on the Patreon or the YouTube memberships if you'd like to support us month to month. I just put a special never-before-seen patrons video up about divorce-flavored milk, so hopefully you'll go check that out if it intrigues. If you don't want to be a member, maybe you check out the Fourth Wall, buy some merch. That'd be cool. All else fails, that's fine. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'd like you to always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you in the next one, so until then, bye-bye.
何バカ何バカ何バカ何バカ何バカ